Donald Trump has been lighting up the polls since he announced his candidacy back in June, and many believe that Trump is likely the main target of tonight's debate, and he was. Here is a taste of the jabs thrown at Trump so far throughout the campaign. Take a look.
Donald Trump's view is that the end is near. His pessimistic view is, let's close the borders, let's create tariffs, let's do this, let's do that, all based on negativity.
That's a very big part of who I am, humility and the fear of the Lord. I don't get that impression with him.
Donald Trump's not a conservative. He's a fake conservative, and eventually I think people are going to wake up and hear that.
He has no ideology. He doesn't believe in anything other than Donald Trump. He's a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. Let's not waste this opportunity. He's not for limited government. The only thing he is for Donald Trump.
Leadership is not about how big your title is, how big your office is, how big your helicopter, your airplane, or your ego is.
To make these extraordinarily ugly kind of comments is not reflective of the Republican Party. Trump is wrong on this.
Well, he's using the talking points of the Democrats. Those talking points haven't worked.
Donald's a great guy and a good person, but I just don't think he's suited to be president of the United States.
Why?
I don't think his temperament is suited for that, and I don't think his experience is.
To conduct the presidency has to be done in a dignified way with a level of class.
Do you believe Donald Trump can do that?
I don't think that the way he's behaved over the last few weeks is either dignified or worthy of the office that he seeks. We already have a president now that has no class.
You don't worry about Donald Trump. He's a force to be reckoned with, but you don't reckon with him by dealing with it. You know, I just quit answering Donald Trump questions.
All right, so the attacks continue tonight. Will they work? Will they backfire? We continue with the author of the brand new book, Disgrace to the Profession. Mark Steyn is with us. We haven't talked about Ben Carson.
No.
If anybody has benefited in the last 2 weeks in polling, it's Ben Carson. He's the meteoric rise.
Right, and it's funny because last time round he barely spoke in the debate except for that lovely answer right at the end when he was talking about the Siamese twins. And I think it's a little bit like that tonight, that he'll have given 2 or 3 answers. But in the end, when people are looking for an alternative to Trump, they like him. And it's interesting that when they're looking for that alternative to Trump, they're really not going for the professional politicians. Carson will benefit even if he just gives, one cute answer a minute before the end of the debate.
I think people don't understand the history of debates. Debates aren't really about the whole debate. This debate tonight is going to be forgotten as soon as it's over. Yeah. But debates are really about moments. Right. This is my microphone. Right. There you go again. Or even Carson's answer in the last debate, which I thought was a home run, and I didn't think he was having a particularly great debate up to that point.
No, and I think when people measure a debate moment by moment, which happened with Frank Luntz after the last debate, where the people who watched it moment by moment thought Trump was a disaster, and in the end he only widened his lead after the debate.
You think that happens tonight?
Well, I think in a sense,
he might have topped out because he's a 16-man field. 30% is a lot.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, people keep talking about, he's got a ceiling. He's got a ceiling. The ceiling keeps getting higher. They keep raising the ceiling. And the point, if you take Trump, Carson, and Fiorina, you've got 13 people mopping up 40% of the sort of professional politician vote. One of those guys, I thought that's what Christie was doing tonight. I thought in a sense, actually Lindsey Graham in the first debate, actually, I know you're...
Come on.
Seriously? No, look, I'm not saying...
You just gave away my rolling of the eyes.
No, I know, but look, Lindsey
Graham is not going to be president.
No, but here's the point. Lindsey Graham understood what the second debate was about, and he came out...
He did.
And he was passionate for his big thing. And the only person who's come close so far to doing that in the big boys debate, I think, has been Chris Christie. Walker and Bush and Rubio, this is not going to... In the first debate,
are they too scripted? Is it too planned? Are they too timid? Are they not learning the lesson of Trump's success? typecast, which is to be bold, politically incorrect, outspoken, a little flashy.
Yeah, because they weren't told that was what this was about. If you signed up to do a Broadway play and you learned your scripted lines for weeks and weeks, and you went out on stage, and then suddenly some crazy minimum wage equity extra staggers out from the wings and starts just responding to you with lines that come out of nowhere, you're paralyzed. Do I stick to my scripted lines or do I try to match him? That's what these guys are doing.
We haven't talked about Ted Cruz yet. Ted is one of the most brilliant guys on the stage. He's been the one guy in Washington that has continually taken on the leadership and tried to hold the Republican Party to their pledge and promises on immigration, executive amnesty, and other issues. And now tonight he even mentioned Planned Parenthood. Where does he come out in all of this?
Well, I think Ted Cruz's strategy to date was to sort of sit out the Trump phenomenon and figured that when it imploded, the Trump...
Him and Huckabee are doing that.
Yeah, the Trump vote would come to him. He'd be the beneficiary, which made more sense. Rick Perry attacked Trumpism as a cancer, and he's gone now. And Cruz's strategy makes sense if Trump is going to implode.
Do you think he would be the next person in line to be the insurgent candidate for conservatives?
I don't think he's going to be a Trump, but he is the nearest thing among the professional politicians to a principled insurgent outsider. And the difficulty he has is that you can sit this out, not attacking Trump, waiting for Trump to implode. But if it's the week before Iowa and New Hampshire and he hasn't imploded, that strategy isn't going to look so smart.
He's a smart debater. I mean, when you give him time, he always seems to be shortchanged a little bit in these debates. Your impression of Kasich, Huckabee, who else have I forgotten here? I think we've pretty much covered everyone else.
Well, Kasich, I think, is in danger of becoming this season's John Huntsman.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I think he's someone whose conservatism seems to have wandered a little too far over to the mushy middle. And there may be a calculation to that as he sees it, there's a gap on the sort of on the kind of left of the Republican Party.
Well, you think he's consciously going for the more establishment vote?
Well, I think he's
to maybe replace Walker or
Jeb.
So
look at it this way: if Jeb Bush is supposed to be the compassionate conservative guy who thinks illegal immigration is an act of love, and Jeb has been a low-energy disaster. Then the question is, maybe that's the gap in the market, to be the kind of soft Republican left candidate that people will coalesce around.
Huckabee, he obviously has very big base with the evangelicals. They ask him questions about Kim Davis tonight, Planned Parenthood tonight. Those are passionate issues for him. He's smart. He's articulate. He wanted no part of the Trump battle.
No, and it's interesting. He had one good answer, I think. On the Kim Davis thing, I agree with him. I don't see, again, to go back
the
to...
accommodation answer.
Yeah, to go back to George III, I don't think there's any point in throwing off a guy in ermine robes and replacing him with Anthony Kennedy wearing a black robe. I don't see the difference. But that was his only moment in the debate, and it wasn't
He didn't get
enough.
a lot of time either.
No.
I think that we have too many people here.
Yeah,
You've got to start winnowing, getting the field. Some people got to get out.
Well, it's ridiculous having Lindsey Graham and three other
George
guys,
Pataki.
and they're getting like whatever it was, 45 minutes of airtime to them each, and then you have,
they get 1 minute.
Yeah,
that's enough. Ding, 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 ding.
And again, it's like Donald Trump and his chorus boys, and maybe, as I said, I think for Rand Paul, for Marco Rubio, they might have done better on that.
Marco's smart. Marco is, I think, a natural politician, a star, and I don't think this environment with 11 people is conducive to what I think he can offer.
No, I think that's true, but the point is you've got to play by whatever rules the game is in, and that's where Trump is doing. Trump doesn't care what you throw at him; he'll make his own rules and win. And Marco Rubio needs.
We'll take a break.